Today I'm brewing a beer that was popular in the southern US states in the 1800s. It's a dark cream ale. Today I'm brewing Kentucky Common. My name is Martin Keane. I'm taking the Homebrew Challenge to brew 99 beers in 99 weeks. Now, Kentucky is considered a southern US state. I also live in the South. I've been here for well over a decade. So it would seem conceivable that I could pull off a passable southern accent by now. But y'all know that is definitely not the case, not at all, so I'm just not going to try. Now today is feeling a bit like a novelty today. I'm going to do this whole brew day in a single day. That is actually an anomaly because for reasons of kettle souring, just overnight mashes, I've generally been splitting my brew day in two, but I'm going to do the whole thing at once today. And I am going to be mashing this beer at 152 Fahrenheit, which, hang on, ah yes, that is 67 Celsius. Now, Kentucky Common is one of those rare breeds of beer style that really is native to the United States. Think about an American cream ale with some darker malts, and you're about in the ballpark. So the original gravity for this one, aiming for around about 1049 original gravity, around a 4.5% beer. In terms of ingredients, well, 70% my base malt, that is 2-row Pale Malt. And then to that, I'm adding 20% of Flaked Corn. Then 5% is Flaked Rye, and 2.5% each of Black Malt and Caramel 40. Now, Kentucky Common, or dark cream ale, originates in Louisville, Kentucky, and was popular in the 1950s. In fact, by 1919, 75% of all beer produced in Louisville was this style. But after Prohibition, the beer fell away in popularity and into obscurity. Of course, craft beer has helped bring it back to life. Now, there seems to be some debate as to whether Kentucky Common is soured with Lactobacillus, which kind of makes sense, right? Similar to like the sour mashes of Kentucky whiskey. But it seems that was never actually the case, and I have enough other sour beers to keep me busy anyway. And I think the BJCP guidelines agree with me. It's not a sour beer. Now, I want to try something clever with packaging with this brew. Now, take this keg. Right now it's just full of nothing. If I were to put beer into it, well, the beer would go into this vessel and mix with what's already inside there, which is air. And cold side oxygenation, generally not good for the beer. So one good practice is to fill this keg up with sanitizer and then flush it out with CO2 so that the CO2 replaces all the sanitizer. Now we'll just have a keg full of CO2 and we can displace the CO2 with beer. The clever part here is rather than using my CO2 tank to do that, I want to try doing it using the CO2 that's generated during fermentation. Now, this beer is a total cluster fest. It's cluster all the way. So I'm adding in at the start of the boil cluster to get to around 14 IBU of bittering. And then with about 20 minutes to go, that's when I'll add a little bit more cluster to just give a little bit of a floral and black currant kind of tone to the beer. I've chilled the wort down to about 60 Fahrenheit or 16 Celsius. And then I've added in as my yeast Wyeast 2112. That is California lager. So this is a lager yeast which I'm going to ferment relatively warm for a lager yeast at 60 Fahrenheit. Now I've got here a keg, and this keg is filled to the brim, with sanitized water. So this is just water and Star San. And what I'm going to do is hook it up to this, which is a gas manifold. Now this gas manifold has a pressure gauge on the front there, and it has a PRV, a pressure relief valve, and a post here to connect to a gas quick disconnect. So what I've got is a jumper cable here, which is just gas to gas. I'm going to hook up the gas from here into the gas in of my keg that's filled with liquid. So what should happen here is pressure is going to build from the fermentation. It will get sent through this here and placed into this keg. Now, when that happens, I'm going to take my second jumper cable, which is just a liquid to liquid connector, and I'm going to connect the out from this keg to the out of a empty keg. So now the pressure should push out the liquid into this second keg. We need to then have a method to get rid of the pressure that's in this keg. You could use the pressure relief valve and kind of lock it. This one doesn't have any sort of keeping it open lock. So I'm just going to use this, which is connected to nothing, and will effectively mean that the pressure can escape. Oh, and I should say that credit for this whole thing goes to Marshall Schott, who describes this whole procedure up on the Brewlosophy website.
Take me out into the water as the full moon rise.
You look like a woman.
Shall I have my new hoodie?
Yeah, it looks great on you.
Nice shirt.
Thank you.
So look, we launched the merch store, and people have been like buying stuff. It kind of blows my mind that there are people walking around the world like wearing stuff that says the Homebrew Challenge on it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's really cool though to think about that.
Yeah. So, this beer is part of the historical beer styles category.
Okay.
And last week we tried Goza, which is a style you're familiar with. But from here on in, we're going to be doing a lot of styles that probably you haven't heard of, because I hadn't heard of them.
Okay.
And that includes today's style.
Okay, which is?
Kentucky Common.
Never heard of it.
Right. Does this look like a true Kentucky Common to you?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
It looks like a dark lager to me. It smells malty. It smells some malt in it.
It smells fruity to me.
Really?
Yeah.
It smells like malt fruit.
Malt fruit. Oh,
Malt
yeah,
fruit.
the well-known malt fruit. What's a malt fruit?
I don't know. This. Can you try it?
Yeah.
You got anything else to say?
Nope.
No? Okay. Wow, that's really like smooth.
A light mouthfeel, right?
Light mouthfeel, yeah. Because like the past couple of beers we've been doing, like when you were doing the single, double, triple, quad beers, those were like a lot going on in the mouthfeel. There was a lot of taste to pick out, and this one just tastes overall like simple.
Yeah.
In the best possible way.
There's a lot to be said for a cold, refreshing, simple beer, right?
Yeah.
I really am excited for you to try next week's beer, because I can't wait to see your reaction. We are definitely moving into obscure and staying there, and it doesn't get much more obscure than next week's beer.
Okay, I'm nervous.
You should be.
Oh, great.
Okay, but until then,
Cheers.
cheers.